to the line. Reynolds! Reynolds!
Cody Deaver clear with 100 metres to go. Excellent runs to second. Olazun runs on, but a champion becomes a legend.
Thurston to choose from with Coot. He hits it, he's got it! He's got the field goal! He's got the premiership!
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection!
He has gone from a captain to a legend and probably rugby league immortality.
Right, g'day everyone, welcome back to the Short Ball Podcast. As usual, we have Bradley for the Racing Podcast, and we've got a very special guest, Australian and New Zealand Racing Hall of Famer and Premier Trainer, Chris Waller. Chris, how are you going?
Hey boys, yeah, going very good. Busy time of the year, but it's an exciting time of the year for sure.
Yep. You had another successful year at the awards night. Took out the Bart Cummings medal. You took out Very Elegant, pretty much cleaned up. What do you think has been the biggest key to your success in the racing industry?
I think just consistency and I've been training in Sydney for about 20 years and we've got a good team of people around me, and that's been a big key. It gives me the confidence, and it gives me the inspiration to keep wanting to get good results. Obviously, you need good horses, good jockeys, as I said, good staff and good supporters that put the horses into our stables. But what a great sport racing is here in Australia. It gets followed 52 weeks of the year. Outside of footy season, it probably takes centre stage. So, yeah, especially through COVID, it stood tall, and I'm pretty proud to say that I'm a horse trainer and in a sport that's being noticed.
Yeah, well done, Chris. Again, on another good year and the awards. Obviously, you always give credit to everyone around you, but from time to time, you've probably got to give yourself a pat on the back, you know. When you first came over, 20 horses in work, but all those people weren't there then. So you've built up this sort of what's rolling into a dynasty and got a lot of good people around you. It sort of seems, I mean, at the moment, me and Jake were talking earlier, it's almost at the moment every year where you're sweeping all the awards. You like that big schoolyard bully that's bigger and stronger, and everyone knows it's just going to win everything every year. That's how it's coming at the moment.
But it didn't start like that, and it seems to have happened pretty quick, and it wasn't overnight success for mine. I remember watching Caulfield Cups from Kembla Grange when I couldn't have a runner in the city, and sort of wondering how I would eventually break in or how long I would last. It was as simple as that. So the last 10 years, momentum has gathered pretty quickly, and it's like a snowball effect from that point on. And I think probably like any sporting person or sporting coach, you just need that bit of confidence. And I think as young coaches, young players, young trainers, you don't have that. And when you've got that bit of confidence, you stop second guessing yourself. And I think that's been a big help to me. Just have the confidence to know that you could run horses in certain races and pull off big wins where otherwise you might say, oh, gee, that horse is not good enough, or I haven't quite done enough with it. But time and time again, we've sort of taken gambles that might in an instinct wouldn't have done before, and we've been fortunate to win some big races.
Certainly confident now.
Yeah. Big race coming up on the weekend, the Everest. Very early on in the piece, you sort of put Nature Strip in with your slot. Was that an easy decision to come to?
It was, yeah, because last couple of years we've sort of waited right until the last minute, and you basically can miss out on a form horse. So when Nature Strip came along as an option, he just won the TJ in the autumn, and he just highest or the best sprinter in the world. So that made it easier, and knowing the owners, knowing the slot holders, it just makes it so much easier. You've got a little bit more control. So having your slot locked away in an intriguing type of scenario, it's very good, because the rest of the year you just panic. And only this week we've seen the last two slots being filled, and I'm sure they probably would have chosen Nature Strip had they had the chance well into it. So good to have them locked in early, and horse is going great.
Yeah, on the flip side of things too, very inexperienced colt, highly promising colt in Home Affairs. Would you say it was on the radar coming in this preparation to sort of head towards Everest, or was it more that he's put himself there?
Not really, Brad. Yeah, it was more a thought. Well, with Cornwall, they hadn't filled their slot, so there was questions asked there. Have we got a horse that could suit? Well, so we did think about the horse, say 5 or 6 weeks ago, but he needed to run well first up, and when he came out and won as well as he did, that made it a bit easier. So I think getting a bit of confidence from Yes, winning the race 2 years ago. He was a 3-year-old who beat the older horses, so we're sort of following a similar vein there. And the 3-year-olds only get 53 kilos, so big boys I think carry 59 or similar. Yeah. He's getting a big weight relief off those horses, and whilst he doesn't have the experience, as you touched on, at least he's had a 2-year-old preparation, and it hardens him up and gives him that taste of the next level.
Obviously, we touched on those 2 runners that you have in the Everest. Which ones are sort of more exciting coming into it? The number 1 rated sprinter in the world, or the inexperienced colt with sort of untapped potential?
It's a tough one. Nature Strip for being around for many seasons, and you've seen the highs and lows of Nature Strip's career. He doesn't always win. He used to be his own worst enemy, but now he's racing so tractable. So we take a bit of pride each and every time he goes to the races, and of course, Home Affairs is an exciting colt. Can he get to that level of these best sprinters? Well, that would really be exciting. So I guess the excitement is, where does Home Affairs fit in, and does Nature Strip come back as good as he was last season? So if both horses measure up, it'll be an exciting finish, and who knows, they might even run 1-2.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. You won in 2019 with Yes, as you touched on before. Where do you think the Everest sits in terms of like major wins, and is it up there with the big 4?
Look, it's an interesting race, boys. And yes, it does fit in with those big 4 races. It's a race that everybody's talking about. It's only been going for, say, 4 years, and people around town are talking about it, not just around town, the rest of Australia, and even other trainers from around the world. So obviously the Melbourne Cup is something different. First Tuesday in November, most people have a half day, and everybody watches it. But in the Everest, people can relate to the horses' names. Nature Strip's been there the last 3 years. Prior to that, Red Zell's been in it 3 years. It's the best sprinters running every month, basically. With the Melbourne Cup, you've got a lot of imports coming, and the household names are not there like they used to be. So for that reason, it's rivaling the Melbourne Cup. The wow factor is the prize money, and that it brings in extra incentives with obviously people buying slots and things like that. So basically, Nature Strip's got 2 lots of owners going into the race, as is Home Affairs, etc. So look, it'll be a sellout crowd with only COVID capacity, but had it not been, it would have been jam-packed. And filling up a racetrack these days isn't as easy as it might sound, like the sporting grounds, and it's just a great new incentive, and people are excited by the speed and the prestige of the race.
Yeah, Chris, going to the jump out, I mean, obviously you had a jump out the other day with Home Affairs and Nature Strip without giving too much away. Is that some sort of indication on what you're looking at doing in the running? And, you know, if not so, what would be your ideal scenario sort of once the, you know, sort of coming to the 800 or the 600 where it gets busy?
It's a good question. So I'll give you a comparison. So Winks, for example, she did win 1 barrier trial, and that wasn't because we weren't trying. It was simply because there's not as much pressure in the barrier trial. They're over or a jump out. They're over 800 metres. Whilst the Everest is only 1,200 metres, it's still a big difference between your workout and your race. No different to pre-season games in footy compared to the first round game. Completely different results. And then, of course, the grand final. So different levels of pressure sees things change so much. And that's where the elite really perform. So in that jump out, Home Affairs led Nature Strip. The most important thing I got out of it was that Home Affairs has got enough speed to perform with Nature Strip, and Nature Strip can settle. He set off Home Affairs beautifully. So that's what I took out of it. They had a good, short, sharp workout without getting to the bottom of them. So basically, they had a full-on 40 minutes game of rugby without the second half. The second half's when fatigue sets in and you can get injuries and things like that. So, look, I'm happy with how they've prepared. It's hard to read how they fit in, but turning for home, I would have liked to have seen last year Nature Strip leading by 2, the others chasing and not catching up. Now, I want to see Nature Strip just sitting off them rather than being the one being hunted. But knowing that when James McDonald asks for him, there's that extra gear there which hasn't been there before. And Home Affairs, I just want to see him within reach. I want to see him settle, doing the little things right, respecting that he's got about 5 kilos less. That'll just give him a little bit more acceleration when Glenn Boss calls upon him. And hopefully that's enough to zip away from the older and seasoned rivals.
You sort of touched on this question a little bit in the sense that you've sort of changed up where you sort of see Nature Strip ideally being. He's running this race the last 2 years. Have you changed up his preparation much, or is it still relatively the same coming into this?
We've just stuck to the task of getting it to settle better, Jake. So he only used to know one speed, and that was flat out. And that was good enough to win most races. But a horse can't sustain a gallop for more than 400 metres. And you might think, well, this is a sprint race. They're just going to go 100 miles an hour. It actually is quite a tactical race. 1,000 metres, probably a little bit different. They go 100 miles an hour and just about sustain it for the whole 1,000 metres. But look, they get tired. So we've constantly worked on getting Nature Strip to settle. And it seems to be working. Last preparation in the autumn, we saw him sit off a few horses, yet still won over 1,000 metres in the Lightning. He won the TJ Ridden similarly. So I think now we've got a horse that's more tractable, and that's what I'm looking forward to with him.
We'll sort of now move on to the Caulfield Cup. You won last year's running, very elegant. You have Ocean Billy, an impressive winner in the Auckland Cup. You have Celino, who won the Sydney Cup and had a great run of the Bart Cummings. Firstly, how has sort of Ocean Billy come in and acclimatised to the Australian conditions, and how do you think he'll stack up against our stayers?
It's an interesting question.
What was the other one you mentioned? The filly?
Charm Star. Yeah, Charm Star. So Charm Star, she's just turned 4. She's run in the New Zealand Oaks, ran second, third in the Queensland Oaks, or vice versa. Unlucky in the Metropolitan here in Sydney. She's having a throw at the stumps, basically, but she's had the right preparation. She's ready to peak. Ocean Billy, as you touched on, his win in the Auckland Cup was pretty good. He sat wide and won with a bit of quality. So he's only been here a few days. He's basically been here a week, in fact, and he's left a little bit of feed, which suggests they're still acclimatising, still getting used to it. The last few days have been good. So how do I think he'll measure up? I think he'll run a race. Be nice to see a good barrier draw when they're released later on Wednesday, and that just makes the jockey's job so much easier and makes the horse's job easier as well. So they'll run well. Celino, he has run in the Sydney Cup, showed that he's up to that level, and 2,400 metres is probably not his preferred distance, but I think he's come back better than he has before. So of the 3, really looking forward to Celino going through the Melbourne Cup, and we'll see how the other 2 shape up.
Yeah, well, I was going to touch on that as well. Is it fair to say, like, Ocean Billy is probably more of a Melbourne Cup than a Caulfield Cup hope?
I would think so. We normally find they take a run to adapt to the Australian style of racing. Caulfield's also a tricky track. So, yeah, I think he'd be better suited in the Melbourne Cup. And we normally find once they've had a race here in Australia, they'll start to thrive as well. So as I said, he's eating well the last couple of days, but I'd like to see him go to a new level after the Caulfield Cup on Saturday.
Yeah, Jake touched on obviously Very Elegant winning the race last year. Be difficult for obviously to do it again weight-wise, but it looks like you're heading towards the Cox Plate this year. Some might say she was disappointing on face value last start. What was your take out of it, and how's she come on since, and what are you expecting going into the Cox Plate with her?
Well, she loomed up as to say, well, here she is, and she'll just brush these aside. But she didn't. She didn't find top gear at all. So it was disappointing. We've scratched the surface and scratched everywhere to find an issue. And basically, she just came through the race a little bit flat. So she spent 3 days at the farm doing some beach work out into the paddock in the day. And in very simple terms, she was kicking her heels up and bouncing when she came back. So she had a quiet gallop this morning and she was sharp. And it looks to me as if she's turned the corner. So, look, I go back to last year's Turnbull Stakes. She just fell in. She beat 2 of her stablemates, no disrespect to them, but she only just beat them. Look, she's the horse of the year. She won 5 Group 1s last year, yet she won a Turnbull last year by basically a nose. So, fortunately, she bounced off that and came out and won a Caulfield Cup, which would be close to her best win, considering the weight she carried in that. So, I honestly think we can bounce back. She'll go to the Moonee Valley track a couple of times in the next 7 days just to refamiliarise herself with the track. I think she can bounce back, boys. And obviously with Zaki being beat last week, it's opened the race right up. And others will say that with Very Elegant getting beat. So I think she can bounce back, and let's hope I'm on your show again one day talking about Very Elegant winning 2 Cox Plates.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm with you. I think she can bounce back. Like you said, Australian Racehorse of the Year. She's a top quality mare. So if people want to forget about her after that one run, she could come out and surprise them. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll probably ride her a little bit more conservative. Great ride from Damien Lane last start, but in hindsight, maybe we were too close. Not that it was anyone's fault. They rolled along pretty quick, and it might have just had her out of the comfort zone. So I think, we can bounce back.
Yep. Have you got 1 or 2 horses coming up over the carnival that you're excited about, targeting towards some of the big races?
No.
That doing, Chris?
Look, we've got a lot of young horses that we're really excited about. Going through to Melbourne Cup Week, we'll try and have good representation there. Horse called Minx Moment will probably run in the Cormore, expecting big things of him. I think a horse like Kiku can. She's had a couple of flat runs through no luck. She'll bounce back next start, wherever that'll be, to follow her. So
we've actually been following Kiku a little bit, so I'm glad that you do.
But just what we're seeing in Melbourne for Cup Week will be worth following. We won't be sending them down just to make up numbers, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was just going to ask as well about Very Elegant. I just sort of thought about now. Will she be going to another Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, she will, Jake. If she, that was certainly the plan prior to her running the Turnbull. But providing she runs well in the Cox Plate, I'll be thinking top 3. And pulls up well is the key, then she'll go to the Melbourne Cup for sure. If she didn't, obviously we'd be pulling up stumps and getting her ready for the autumn, one last autumn. But there's no reason why she couldn't bounce back in the Cox Plate and still be there on the first Tuesday in November.
Yep. About your runners this Saturday, Chris, a lot of good runners. What do you think's got their foot on the till?
Fields have just come out. They've been a bit late coming out, so just squeezing through them here. I think Shared Ambition will run well in the Craven Plate. He was nosed out last start, and hope we can go one better. In the fillies race, there's a filly called Fangirl in the Ingham colours, the cerise. have a look at her.
All right. Well,
Sounds good. Pretty bullish about that one by the smile on your face, Chris.
all right. Well, Chris, we really appreciate you coming on. Obviously, a very, very busy man at the moment. Good luck with all your runners on the weekend and all your runners over the course of the carnival.
Thank you very much, and well done on the podcast. It's a great addition to sport.